Mr. Bartender, listen here. I ain't here for trouble, so have no fear. One wine, one mead, and one beer.
Hi, welcome to One Wine, One Mead, and One Beer. I'm Ken Schramm, the owner of Schramm's Mead and the author of The Complete Mead Maker. Asking yourself, what's one wine, one mead, and one beer about? Well, we understand that when you walk into a good wine or beer store, the selection can be totally intimidating. There can be thousands of different beers from hundreds of different breweries, and on the other side of the store there can be thousands of different wines from thousands of different wineries. They can be priced from a few dollars for a six-pack up to $50, $100, $200 for a bottle of wine or more. And everybody wants to know that they're getting their money's worth. You want to know that if you plunk down your hard-earned money for a bottle of wine, it's going to deliver. That's what we're going to talk about here. Each of the wines, meads, and beers that we recommend are going to be solid recommendations. We're going to feel that you're going to get your value out of these products. We're also going to talk about what the wine is like, what the beer is like. We're going to talk about on an average price, what will be reasonable to spend. We're going to talk about what you should eat with it, and we're going to give you some idea of what its aging potential might be like. And then finally, we'll talk about that QPR thing. QPR stands for quality price ratio. And the simple way to understand that is if you pay for a Cadillac, you should get a car that's as good as a Cadillac. However, in the world of wine, beer, and mead, there are times when you can, in fact, get a Cadillac for the price of a Chevrolet. And that is a deal. So let's look at our first wine. Our first wine is the 2016 Produttori del Barbaresco Barbaresco. A produttori is a collection of growers who pool all of their grapes and then use one central production facility to produce the wine, and then they can sell the wine, and the growers then, who might not have been in the position to benefit from the value add of turning their grapes into wine, can get that value back. The Produttori del Barbaresco was founded in 1958 by the parish priest from Barbaresco, a guy named Don Fiorino Marengo, and now there are about 50 different families that participate. This is a Nebbiolo. Nebbiolos are typically high in acidity and in tannin. It's a really richly fruity wine though, and the 2016 vintage is ready to drink now and will probably age well for another 30 years. This wine is going to be terrific with red meats. It's going to be great with pastas, with red sauces, whether that's a simple marinara or a bolognese. It's also going to be really good with roasted poultry or any kind of game that's gotten a lot of spice and perhaps some smoke. There are about 264,000 bottles of this wine made. There were in 2016, which means that it's reasonably common and you can find it, but there's still not enough to go around for everybody. So we recommend that you go ahead and take a shot at this. At $40 a bottle, we think it's a really good quality to price ratio. And if it can drink well now and for the next 30 years, it represents a great opportunity to lay in a few bottles and be rewarded over time. Now let's talk about our first mead. The first mead we're featuring is Schramm's Mead's Ginger. And this is a really bold mead. We use a lot of ginger in this mead, and as such, it's going to pair with things that have a lot of flavor as well. Things like Indian food, Thai, Korean, Vietnamese, and of course it's going to go really well with sushi because it's ginger and sushi. We make about make about 3,000 bottles of these 375s every year. We make a few more of these 750s for restaurants, people that like to have a lot on hand. If you want to serve this in a restaurant by the glass, for example, you can purchase these, and they will keep for a good long while. And in fact, talking about the aging potential, this mead will last a good 10 years or more. I think it will probably work its way out to 20. I've had bottles that were 10 years old, and they were really, really good. In terms of the quality to price ratio for this, I think it's pretty good. It comes in 18, and the 750 comes in at 36. It's less than the wine that we just talked about, and it presents a tremendous amount of versatility on the table. This mead is even good with Italian food. So I can strongly recommend this mead, and I think compared to many of the other meads that are on the market, this is a really good bargain. Let's talk about our beer. The first beer on One Wine, One Mead, and One Beer is Orval. And this is a Belgian Trappist ale. When I first got started being interested in this kind of beer, there were only 5 Belgian Trappist abbeys that were making beer. Orval, West-Vleteren, Westmalle, Chimay, and Rochefort. Most of those, in fact, all of those other monasteries make multiple different beers, but Orval only makes this one beer, and it is truly delicious. It is a really sour and bitter beer. It does use Brett like many Belgians do, but a lot of people don't understand how much hops there is in this beer, and people also don't understand that Orval is dry hopped, and it is one of the first beers that I know of that ever was dry hopped, and their dry hopping tradition goes back to 1931. I also love Orval because this beer is made by a woman. Their head brewer is a woman named Anne-Francois Piper. She took over from Jean-Marie Rock, who was her boss, and the beer has remained tremendous. They've stuck to the profile, and it's utterly delicious with fish, and especially fish with rich, creamy Beurre Blanc sauces. So like a Dover sole with a Beurre Blanc is a perfect pairing for this. This beer will age for a while. The monks at the monastery like this beer when it's quite old, but the brewers right now recommend under a year. I like them 2, 3, 4, 5 years old as well. The beer costs probably $6 or $7 at any respectable beer store. You're going to have to probably go to a good beer shop to get a hold of one of these. There are 22 million of them made each year, but it, to me, represents a commitment of authenticity and intensity and just a complete flavor bombast. And at this price point, attaining that level of quality is just an incredible accomplishment. Each episode, I'll be picking one beverage that represents the best QPR, quality to price ratio. And for this episode, it's the Orval. The Barbaresco and the Mead each present spectacular opportunities for pairings on the table, and the versatility is terrific, but if bitter and sour are your thing, then Orval is going to fill the bill, and for $6, it's pretty much unmatched. We'll see you again next episode. In the meantime, I'd like to remind you to love life, drink responsibly, but most importantly, drink well. Prost.